If you escape and you run towards Lida, there is a house which sits separately, and the man there is by the name of Kozlovsky.
A peasant farmer, Konstantin Kozlovsky, was a rare ally, a Gentile willing and eager to help Jews.
When those people would run away from ghetto, they would come to that Kozlovsky.
ושם זה היה ריכוז, זה היה סודי ב100%, ומשם היינו באים ולוקחים אותם, כן, לעיירות.
Every day, every week rather, would come a group of them, a group of people. And in no time it was about 100.
Punishment for attempting to escape the ghetto was death by hanging. Still, early in the war, many managed to slip through the barbed wire and flee to the forest. But in May of 1943, another mass execution took place in Novogrudek. In the ghetto, only 250 Jews remained alive.
So we decided that we'll have to do something. And we decided that we're going to dig a tunnel. And we have to escape somehow. How did we dig it? With the spoons, forks, with the hands.
After more than 4 months of digging, the tunnel was ready.
And one night, we decided, a September, rainy night, we decided to crawl out.
We stood in line. The diggers have knocked through the last bit, and we felt already cold air coming in.
And we all crawled out. We did.
When you walked out, of course, it was bedlam. It was all lit up from bullets. Many people out of the 250, we reckon about 70 to 80 got killed or captured, and 170 managed to reach the partisans.
But for the residents of the Lida ghetto, time had run out. On September 17, 1943, the remaining 2,000 Jews, including 17-year-old Mike Stoll and his sister Bella, were rounded up by the Germans and escorted to a nearby railroad station. There, cattle cars awaited their arrival.
They had speakers out, and don't be afraid. We're not going to harm you. You're going to go to Germany to work. And music is playing, and they are preparing us to not to panic. We're not going to touch you. And some people bought it. And I'm talking to my father, and we say, we're not going.
We tried to right away look for ways to get out of here. What do we do when the train starts? And I right away started thinking of jumping from the train.
Bella managed to locate an axe and smuggle it onto the cattle car. Before long, the train rumbled into motion.
There's a window, that little window in the corner of that wagon. So that's what we used the axe for. We ripped off the crossbars.
Because my brother was scrawny, he was able to squeeze through it and get out.
So the train is shaking, and the wind, with my back to the wall, I'm holding down, and I'm working my way to the door, to the latch. I unlatched the door, put a knock, we opened up the door, and out, and we jump out.
And as I fell down, I felt a mouthful of gravel, that's all I remember. And the train knocking that forever. It seemed like for hours. The train wound up in Majdanek. Everybody was executed. Nobody, not a soul, survived or came back from that transport.
Mike and Bella's mother and 13-year-old sister Anne had managed to hide in the ghetto and avoid being herded onto the train. Separately, they fled to the woods, wandering for days and certain they would never see Mike and Bella again.
I always used to sleep with my head on my mom's lap. And I got up one morning feeling so good, and I couldn't understand. I raised my head, and from a distance, I saw my sister Bella. So I said right away to myself, oh, that's what I must have had a wonderful dream about her. That's why I feel so good. And the more I stared at her, the more she appeared real. And with that, she noticed that she stumbled over a group of people. She also did not know where she was. And she started to run towards the group. And right away she noticed my mom and myself. And the first words from her mouth were that Mike and Papa is alive. Now we could not believe, like coming from the dead.
Once reunited, they met a group of partisans who escorted them to the Bielski base. By now, it was a haven to more than 200 Jews seeking refuge from the Nazis. Having escaped from the ghetto in Warsaw, Peretz Shorshati arrived at the Bielski base in 1943. More than 50 years later, he began sketching his memories of life in the forest.
התחלתי לצייר ב-94. זו הייתה כן, תרפיה עצמית, כן, להשתחרר מהמועקה של המלחמה, של השואה. וזה שחרר אותי לחלוטין.
In vivid detail, Shorshati set out to record every aspect of life with the Bielskis. And for all the survivors, there is no image more indelible than their first glimpse of the Bielski base.
The whole camp was to me something as a dream. People on horses, on tall horses, to me they were terribly tall, with machine guns across their chests, giving orders.
When I saw Tevye, I was happy. I know that we will live, that we will survive, that everything will be good. Because kind of we were protected by, I don't know what it was, only just looking at him.
He looked heroic, very handsome, tall man, carried himself like a leader. He was our king.
But still, the war was still raging. We still had no guarantee that we will survive. But we had a chance to fight back. We had a chance to come to a place where you're welcome, and with a purpose.
Zeus Bielski was put in charge of gathering intelligence. A soil was appointed second in command to Tuvia.
The best who knew the forest was a soil. They all depended on the soil. Anything they had to ask about, is that a good place to go? Is that? It was a soil.
He used to lead many of the fighters to blow a train, to blow a bridge. He led some of the very major fighting they had done.
Zeus was a little bit different from a soil and a little bit different from Tevye. He was more like a playboy, you would call, in those days.
He liked to have a drink and he liked to have a good time. And that was Zeus.
You had to have reconnaissance. You had to have someone